Good afternoon, everybody. I'm David Anderson, the interim pastor at Sylvania United Church of Christ. Actually, they call it the Bridge Pastor. And I welcome you to this program on Keeping in Touch, where we try to keep you informed of everything that's going on at church, so that you can be up to date and participate where you may so desire. We're going to begin today by first hearing an update on how our Vacation Bible School is going. And then Mary will talk to us a bit about our Zoom fellowship. And then Jeff Finch, our new moderator, will share with us some of the decisions that were made last night at the cabinet meeting. But first, we'll hear from Elaine and how the Vacation Bible School is going.
Hi, everyone. We are in week 3 of Vacation Bible School, week 3 of 5. We meet every Wednesday night, and we've had quite a few families join us. We do a story time, listen to some music. We're learning Tai Chi. Ann Lindsley has been recording some videos and teaching Tai Chi for the kids. And we also have art projects available. So there's a lot going on, a lot of different pieces, and we're excited to have all the kids join us each week.
Thank you, Elaine. Sounds interesting. Okay, Mary, you want to tell us about Zoom, and then anything else that you might want to add? But let us know first about our Zoom fellowship, which just started last Sunday.
All right, so just like the kids are meeting by Zoom for Vacation Bible School, we are trying to create opportunities for people in the church community to fellowship virtually, and one of those ways was the beginning of a coffee hour before the really between the services, since there'll be 2 services this Sunday, beginning at 9:30 and lasting for about 20 minutes. As the group grows, we're able to go in breakout rooms, so there are smaller little groups that can talk a little more easily with each other. And as we get those kinks out, we'll get more facile at helping people get into those breakout groups. But it's a great way to connect with people. Then people go from there, sign out and log into YouTube for the service itself. So it's much like milling around in the fellowship room, the entryway gathering area at church before church. And so it's a way for you to do that virtually. And hopefully we'll continue to explore ways for people to connect virtually, such as the Bible study or book study David's doing, and perhaps some other faith formation opportunities as time goes on.
Mary, along that line, if they've never done that, now, how do they get onto the Zoom?
So the Zoom link for the fellowship time goes out on Saturday with the information about the worship service. So you do have to have that link to get out. Typically, you can just click the link in the email. I'm presuming most people have already gone on Zoom in order to meet the candidate and things of that nature. If you have more questions, if you haven't done that step of getting yourself on Zoom, please reach out to staff and let us know. But otherwise, the link to enter the fellowship time, it will be sent out on Saturday as part of the email about the service.
Okay. As Mary mentioned, I'm also leading a Zoom group on the book White Fragility. And we started last week. We had enough people sign up that we have 2 groups actually. One meeting Tuesday evenings at 7:15, and the other meeting Wednesday mornings at 9:30. And that is all Zoom. And we are studying this book. It'll be a 6-week course. This week will be the 2nd week of that course. And if you are interested, please contact me or Joyce, and she can set you up with the Zoom link that you can join the course. So now, we had a very busy meeting last night with our cabinet and reporting on some of the items that directly affect the congregation. Will be Jeff, our brand new moderator. Jeff?
Thanks, David. And what I wanted to do is just provide an update as to what's taking place with the cabinet since it's fresh, having just met here recently this week. You'll recall at the mid-year meeting, we elected a new cabinet for the 2021 cabinet year, and they met this past Monday. And some of the topics that I want to update on start with the financials, the COVID committee work, as well as LPGA parking. So let me take these in order. The mid-year financial update. Generally very encouraging. And why is that? It's because our income and our expenses are both favorable to budget through the first 6 months of the year. So that's a rarity for those of you that follow the budget closely. And that has resulted in a positive variance to budget of about $21,000. That's good because it's been led by very generous giving of pledge giving, in many cases ahead of the time pledges were due. And so that has given us a positive variance. You'll also recall that we chose to keep our staff fully employed during the pandemic, even though the operations of the church had wound down. And we, as part of that, we filed for a payroll protection plan loan of $35,000 that was granted in the month of May. That loan of $35,000 covers approximately 2 months worth of salary and utilities. And we are being very careful to use that loan in full compliance with the PPP guidelines. And we expect that it will be fully forgiven, or in essence, no obligation for the church to have to pay that loan back. Our expenses in the second half of the year are expected to trend upward. Why? Simply because we are going to be filling the senior pastor role with Vern, as you all know. And some of the expenses related to that, as well as hopefully being able to use our facilities a bit more, are expected to increase our expenses. So the wild card remains income, and that translates into giving. And so I would just ask that each of you continue your generous giving, whether it's pledged or unpledged. And it really helps us navigate these uncertain times and continue the ministries of the church. So from the cabinet, a heartfelt thank you for everybody for your generous giving year to date. Please do your best to keep it going. Now let's shift gears to a much more meaty topic, which is the COVID committee update. You'll recall that we have a COVID committee that was formed back in March, and that committee continues to meet weekly to stay abreast of this ever-changing virus and our response to it. We've been particularly mindful of two things: the voice of the congregation, as given to us in the survey that you heard about at the mid-year meeting and have subsequently seen distributed so that you could read it, as well as the staff from staff meetings and other direct feedback that we've gotten from the staff. And as you saw in the survey results, there are varying expectations and desires across what I call the decision spectrum. Suffice it to say, there is no one answer that's going to satisfy everybody short of a proven vaccine, and who knows when that will occur. So what the committee has been trying to do is make decisions based on finding approaches that meet the diverse needs of the congregation and the staff while making things as safe as possible. So with that in mind, the first thing that I want to talk about is this coming Sunday, where we have scheduled a parking lot service on Sunday, July 19th. Now, the details specifically is that service will start at 8:30 a.m. in the main parking lot. We're asking anyone interested in attending to arrive approximately 10 minutes early and follow the directions of parking lot attendants that will be in the parking lot to direct you to a parking spot that will be physically distanced and an appropriate amount from another car. This service will be broadcast over an FM radio in your car. You'll get the frequency to dial your radio to in advance of showing up at the service. And this is yet another technology that is brand new to the church. And thanks to Bruce, Meyer, and Mary, and a few others for putting us on the radio now, in addition to live on the internet. The service itself will consist of Sally playing keyboard and David conducting what I think we'll call a basic service. You can comment on that later, David, if you'd like. We're asking everyone to remain in your vehicle during the service. Feel free to wave, acknowledge, hoot and holler to your fellow worshipers from the safety of your own vehicle, because this is just about trying a different way to worship that enables us to see each other, because that seems to be one of the underlying desires from the survey, is more interaction in a safe manner. So we're going to try this parking lot service. We're also going to continue our normal 10 a.m. live stream. And during that time, we encourage you to dial into that, because we're going to be recognizing Elaine Jansen for her interim leadership as the Children's Ministry Director before she heads off to a new job in Nashville in August. So that is this Sunday. Now, when you then tie into some of what else the committee has been discussing, it's how to return to in-person worship safely. And the survey results, if you recall, showed that there's approximately 29 members of the congregation that are quote unquote ready now to resume in-person worship. And the committee recommended to Cabinet earlier this week what we call a conservative approach to restarting the in-person worship. And that specifically consists of permitting up to 30 people, no more, who RSVP in advance via email or phone to the church office to attend worship following all the safety protocols that are published on our church website. Those are the things like mandatory masking, physical distance seating, no singing, those type protocols that are out. And that the committee further recommended to the Cabinet that the church adopt adherence to the recently published State of Ohio Public Health Advisory System. Now, you're not going to be able to see this real well, but it looks something like this. And it's available on our website. There is a link on our website that you can see it. And this is what is a recently adopted warning system in the state of Ohio. It's a 4-level color-coded warning system that's updated weekly based on multiple measures that the state deems as important to monitoring the virus. You can learn more about it, as I said, on the church website. The committee recommendation to the Cabinet is that in-person worship, as I described earlier, will be permitted as long as the Lucas County warning level is at a 2 or a 1. And should the level increase to a 3 or a 4, in-person worship will cease until such time that it returns to a level 2 or a level 1. So when presented with these recommendations, Cabinet approved both of them at our July meeting with a target start date of Sunday, August 2nd. Now, it's understood that not everybody lives in Lucas County. We get that. We ask those living outside the county to follow the level that is in effect for your county on a given Sunday morning. So a specific example of that is right now Wood County is at a level 3. So if you live in Wood County and you're one of the 29 people that expressed interest in resuming worship, we would ask you to use your judgment and not attend until your county is at a level 2 or below. And this is similar how we manage inclement weather in the winter, albeit a much different risk factor. But we feel that linking these guidelines to these guidelines provides objective measures as outlined by the state of Ohio, gives us county measures tied to what the health professionals and the government officials deem to be the most important measures of the virus. So with that, we've had some 14 people that have expressed a willingness to act as what I'll call ushers, in quotes, when in-person worship resumes. It's really not traditional ushering as much as it is helping attendees enter the building safely, get to a physically distanced seat, and exit the building safely. And for those of you who signed up, expect to be contacted shortly for some training in advance of resuming in-person worship. And that August 2nd date is simply a target date that is dependent upon Lucas County being at a 2 or below. If at any time it's at a 3 or above, in-person worship will be not open, and you'll be communicated that because I think Thursday is when the state of Ohio generally updates the guidelines. And so that's when the COVID committee meets, and we'll have emails that come out advising whether or not there's in-person worship or not. So to summarize, and this is important, there's no one answer that satisfies the entire congregation or the staff. And we realize that. And so we're asking everybody to use your personal judgment as to what you're comfortable doing and what the risk you're willing to expose yourself and your family to. Because the church environment has been made as safe as we currently know how to make it, but we are in no way able to guarantee anyone's safety from an ever-evolving virus. And so that needs to be fully understood. This is a personal choice. Live streaming of our services is now part of our weekly approach. The intent is to do this 52 weeks a year. A special thanks to Bruce Meyer, Mary Meadows, and some others who have been moving us quickly into the world of what I call broadcast worship, both live and taped. So we all have more options now as to how we can participate in worship than we did just a few short weeks ago. And then one other cabinet action related to this broadcasting is that the cabinet approved a 5-hour per week AV tech team leader position last evening. And what this is to ensure that we have a person who is responsible for coordinating a team of volunteers to run the live stream services every week. And you can imagine this is more than a one-person job. Bruce has been doing it on a contract basis and out of the goodness of his heart. He has expressed that he doesn't want to do it forever, and he's willing to help transition his knowledge and training to a person who will take this job, as well as a team of volunteers. So anyone who's interested, from the youth to the oldest member of the congregation, if you have an inkling that you want to learn AV systems and be part of this team, please reach out to Joyce in the office, let us know, and then we'll get in touch with you regarding specific training on the system. One other thing on COVID resources, during the mid-year meeting, a question was asked if we plan to provide any type of formal learning opportunities or training via our health ministries team. And the short answer to that is we don't have formal training planned, but again, on the church website, on the COVID-19 link, there are several articles related to the virus, and there's more being posted as we come across them. So we're encouraging that anyone who has a desire to learn about the virus, about new developments, check the website periodically and find those pieces of information via the links that are available. If you don't have access to a computer or can't get those, let the church office know, and we'll figure out a way to print them and mail them to you, or get them to you via another means, so that you can learn. So that's the COVID update, and again, a lot there. So my thanks to the team for continuing to do what they're doing there and meeting weekly. As I said, there's no easy answers, but this is where we're at. We got one other topic, and then I'll open it up in case anybody else has some questions. And that is a reminder that the LPGA parking is still scheduled for August 6th through the 9th. I checked the sign-up sheet, which is online just before recording this, and I'm pleased to say that we have lots of people that have signed up, but we still have lots of open opportunities for people to help park. And this is an important fundraiser, if you will, for the church to help in our ministries and our outreach. So by all means, if you're able to help on the Thursday through Sunday, August 6th through the 9th, please find your way to that website and sign up online. That's it, David. I'll turn it back to you, and I think Mary may have a comment that she'd like to make.
Yeah, just one thing I wanted to say about the parking lot worship and the FM transmission is that's a very low signal. So beyond the parking lot, people are not going to be able to tune in from home to that service. So I just wanted to make that clear, because that might be a little confusing. It's a very low transmission. It'll extend the parking lot and maybe a few houses surrounding, but it's not something that can be used outside or in the home.
I was not going to tell David that. I was just going to tell him that it was being broadcast worldwide.
Yeah, right. We're all the way to Ann Arbor.
Yeah, right.
Competing with NPR. Right.
That's a good point. And just a reminder on this Sunday then. So there's an 8:30 parking lot service, the 9:30 Zoom coffee talk time, and then the 10 a.m. live stream service. So plenty of ways to interact and worship with each other this coming Sunday. David, I think you're on mute if you're trying to address the group. There you go.
Okay, it's a full day, and I would just like to point out we are all on a very steep learning curve. And so the outdoor service this Sunday will be a very simple service. Really, it's kind of featuring Sally on keyboard and me on mic, almost like a lounge act. And again, thanks to Bruce, we are going to be able to broadcast both the written or the spoken part and Sally's music, which we were uncertain whether we'd be able to do, but that has now been taken care of. So we'll see how it goes, and I appreciate your comments from both services and suggestions you might have, or what you like or what you don't care about all these different services, so that we can continue to improve upon them. I believe that's all. Jeff, you mentioned about the LPGA. Now, they're still going to have spectators, right?
As of today, they have still agreed to have spectators, which is different than the men's side of the golf world, which has just decided not to through September. So what we're doing is we're preparing as if it's going to happen, so that we're ready to execute if they pull the plug. then we'll just have prepared for nothing, but it's better to be prepared than not. So that's right
Okay.
now, it's our understanding that it's still going to happen. It's also our understanding that the traditional off-site bust-in parking may not be happening this year, which means that while attendance might be down in total at the event, the demand for parking right across the street could be up. So it's, you know, that's another reason to make sure we got enough
Okay.
volunteers so that we can accommodate anybody that wants to park there.
Good.
And one other point, David, sorry, is the
No.
the information on RSVPing for in-person worship. We'll have more details that will come out in advance of the August 2nd date, assuming that the levels remain where they are. And everybody is encouraged to watch those levels as you go through, because you know, we're just simply not going to subject ourselves to anything higher than a level 2 for in-person worship. And again, this is a crawl, walk, run type approach in terms of getting back into the swing of in-person worship. So that's why we're limiting it to 30 people to start.
Right. And also to mention that with the parking lot service, the church building will not be open.
Correct.
And we are requesting that people remain in their cars. Well, as you can see, a lot's going on. A lot of people are involved in all the decisions that are being made, and a lot of volunteers in helping these decisions become fruition and programs and ministries of our church. And I'm deeply grateful for everyone who has been a part of a very active COVID committee and a very active cabinet. And also, I would say we have just the right staffing in place for this period of transition that we've been going through. So my gratitude to everyone, and my gratitude to you for listening, and we hope that we might hear from you in comments on any of the programs and ministries that are being developed. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.